Hare Krishna, Prabhu Standard Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Okay, we'll start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Darati Svaparandikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapata Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakan Vidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Kopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrisabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhu Pyavacha Patitanam Pavanepyo Vaishnavepyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyabari Pashatyare Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Srinvatam Svakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtana Rityantasto Yabadrani Vidunuti Suhritsatam Nashtaprayashvapatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamastoke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana, Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Shri Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna Karti Prabhu and Surya Prabhu and Dheeraj Prabhu Tanda Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Haribo.
Dandut Pranam Prabhuji, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Karti Prabhu, can you read?
Actually, I'm just eating right now. I can
Yes.
continue in after 2-3
Do you want
minutes.
to start?
Until then,
Dheeraj Prabhu or
we can
Surya
start.
Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Dandut Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. I can read 2 verses.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank
Text
you.
20. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Text 27. Tato bhavan mahattvam avyaktat kala chodhitat vignatnatma tamadehastham vishwam vyanjamstamor nudah. Synonyms. Tata, thereafter, abhavat, came into existence, mahat, supreme, tattvam, sum total, avyaktat, from the unmanifested, kala chodhita, by the interaction of time, vijnanatma, unalloyed goodness, atma deha stham, situated on the bodily self, vishwam, complete universes, vyanjan, manifested, tamo nudaha, the supreme light. Translation. Thereafter, influenced by the interactions of eternal time, the supreme sum total of matter called the Mahat Tattva became manifested. And in this Mahat Tattva, the unalloyed goodness, the Supreme Lord, showed the seeds of universal manifestation out of his own body. Forward by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In due course of time, the impregnated material energy was manifested first as the total material ingredients. Everything takes its own time to fructify, and therefore the word Kala Choditat, influenced by time, is used herein. The Mahat Tattva is the total consciousness, and because a portion of it is represented in everyone as the intellect. The Mahat Tattva is directly connected with the supreme consciousness of the supreme being, but still it appears as matter. The Mahat Tattva or shadow of pure consciousness is the germinating place of all creation. It is pure goodness with the slight addition of material mode of passion, and therefore activity is generated from this point. Text 28. Should I continue?
Yes, Prabhu, this sentence is really confusing.
Total consciousness, because a portion of it is represented in everyone. Yes, I also don't understand this.
Oh, is the yeah, yes, Prabhu, this is hard to understand. This means the intelligence, I think, is because it's in everyone as the subtle part of the subtle body.
Maybe as we read on, things will get more clear.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Text 28. Just a minute. Yeah. Sopyam sa guna kalatma bhagavat drishtigocharaha atmanam vyakarodatma vishwasyasya shirikshaya. Synonyms: Saha, Mahatattva, Api, also, Amsha, Purusha, plenary explanation, Guna, chiefly the quality of ignorance, Kala, the duration of time, Atma, full consciousness, Bhagavat, the personality of Godhead, Drishtigochara, range of sight, Atmanam, many different forms, Vyakarot, differentiated, Atma, reservoir, Vishwasya, the would-be entities, Asya of this, Shirikshaya generates the false ego. Translation: Thereafter, the Mahat Tattva differentiated itself into many different forms as the reservoir of the would-be entities. The Mahat Tattva is chiefly in the mode of ignorance, and it generates the false ego. It is a plenary expansion of the personality of Godhead with full consciousness of creative principles and time for fructification. Purport: the Mahat Tattva is the via medium between pure spirit and material existence. It is the junction of matter and spirit, wherefrom the false ego of the living entity is generated. All living entities are differentiated parts and parcels of the personality of Godhead under the pressure of false ego. The conditioned souls, although part and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, claim to be the enjoyers of material nature. This false ego is the binding force of material existence. The Lord again and again gives a chance to the bewildered conditioned souls to get free from this false ego, and that is why the material creation takes place at intervals. He gives the conditioned souls all facilities for rectifying the activities of the false ego, but he does not interfere with their small independence as parts and parcels of the Lord.
I can continue from here, Prabhu, if Dheeraj Prabhu has completed.
Yes, Prabhu, you can continue. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Ribor.
Thank you, Prabhu. Text 29. Mahatatvad vikurvanad aham tattvam vyajayata karya karana kartratma bhutendriya manomayah. Oh my God. Vyakarikash Taijashcha Tamashashcheti aham tridha. So sorry for the mispronunciation. Mahat, the great. Tattvat, casual truth. Vikurvanat, being transformed. Aham, false ego. Tattvam, material truth. Vyajayata, became manifested. Karya, effects. Karana, cause. Kartr, doer. Kartr, doer. Atma, soul or source. Bhutha, material ingredients. Indriya, senses. Manaha, mayaha, hovering on the mental plane. Vaikarikaha, more of goodness. Taijashaha, more of passion. Tamasaha, more of ignorance. Cha, and. Iti, thus, aham, false ego. Tridha, three kinds. Translation. Mahat Tattva, or the great casual truth, transforms into false ego, which is manifested in three phases: cause, effect, and the doer. All such activities are on the mental plane and are based on the material elements, gross senses, and mental speculation. The false ego is represented in three different modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Purport. A pure living entity in his original spiritual existence is fully conscious of his constitutional position as an eternal servitor of the Lord. All souls who are situated in such pure consciousness are liberated, and therefore they eternally live in bliss and knowledge in the various Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky. When the material creation is manifested, it is not meant for them. The eternally liberated souls are called Nitya Muktas. And they have nothing to do with the material creation. The material creation is meant for rebellious souls who are not prepared to accept subordination under the Supreme Lord. The spirit of false lordship is called false ego. It is manifested in three modes of material nature, and it exists in mental speculation only. Those who are in the mode of goodness think that each and every person is God, and thus they laugh at the pure devotees who try to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Those who are puffed up by the mode of passion try to lord it over material nature in various ways. Some of them engage in altruistic activities as if they were agents appointed to do good to others by their mental speculative plans. Such men accept the standard ways of mundane altruism, but their plans are made on the basis of false ego. This false ego extends to the limit of becoming one with the Lord. The last class of egoistic conditioned souls, those in the mode of ignorance, are misguided by identification of the gross body with the self. Thus, all their activities are centered around the body only. All these persons are given the chance to play with the false egoistic ideas, but at the same time, the Lord is kind enough to give them a chance to take help from scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, so that they may understand the signs of Krishna and thus make their life successful. The entire material creation, therefore, is meant for the falsely egoistic living entities hovering on the mental plane under different illusions in the modes of material nature. Aham tattvat vikurvanan mano vaikarikadabhut vaikarikascha ye deva arthabhi vyakyananam cha jnanam yatah aham tattvat, from the principle of false ego, vikurvanat, by transformation, manaha, the mind, vaikarikat, by interaction with the mode of goodness, abhut, generated, vaikarikaha, by interaction with goodness, cha, also, ye, all these, devaha, demigods, artha, the phenomenon, abhi, abhivagyanam, physical knowledge, yataha, the source. Translation: the false ego is transformed into mind by interaction with the mode of goodness. All the demigods who control the phenomenal world are also products of the same principle, namely the interaction of false ego and the mode of goodness. Purport: false ego interacting with the different modes of material nature is the source of all materials in the phenomenal world. Text 31. Taijashan nindriyani eva jnana karma mayani cha. Taijashani, the mode of passion, indriyani, the senses, eva, certainly, jnana, knowledge, philosophical speculations, karma, fruitive activities, mayani, predominating cha also. Translation: the senses are certainly products of the mode of passion and false ego. And therefore, philosophical speculative knowledge and fruitive activities are predominantly products of the mode of passion. Purport: the chief function of the false ego is godlessness. When a person forgets his constitutional position as an eternally subordinate part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and wants to be happy independently, he functions mainly in two ways. He first attempts to act fruitively for personal gain or sense gratification, and after attempting such fruitive activities for a considerable time, when he is frustrated, he becomes a philosophical speculator and thinks himself to be on the same level as God. This false idea of becoming one with the Lord is the last snare of the illusory energy, which traps a living entity into the bondage of forgetfulness under the spell of false ego. The best means of liberation from the clutches of false ego is to give up the habit of philosophical speculation regarding the absolute truth. One should know definitely that the absolute truth is never realized by philosophical speculations on is never realized by the philosophical speculations of the imperfect, egoistic person. The absolute truth or the supreme personality of Godhead is realized by hearing about Him in all submission and love from a bona fide authority who is a representative of the 12 great authorities mentioned in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. By such an attempt only can one conquer the illusory energy of the Lord, although for others she is unsurpassable, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Text 32. Tamaso bhuta shukshmadir yataha kham lingam atmanaha. Tamashaha, from the mode of passion, bhuta shukshmadihi, subtle sense objects, yataha, from which kham, the sky, lingam, symbolic representation, atmanaha, of the Supreme Soul. Translation: the sky is a product of sound, and the sound is a transformation of egoistic passion. In other words, the sky is a symbolic representation of the Supreme Soul. Wow. The sky is a product of sound, and sound is the transformation of egoistic passion. In other words, the sky is the symbolic representation of the Supreme Soul. Purport: in the Vedic hymns, it is said, Etasmat Atmanaha Akarshaha Akashaha Shambhutaha. The sky is a symbolic representation of the Supreme Soul. Those who are egoistic in passion and ignorance cannot conceive of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For them, the sky is a symbolic representation of the Supreme Soul. Wow. Kala mayamsha yogena bhagavat vikshitam nabhaha nabhasho nushtam sparsham Vikurvan nirmame nilam. Kala, time, Maya, external energy. Amsha yogena, partly mixed. Bhagavat, the personality of Godhead. Vikshitam, glanced over. Nabhaha, the sky. Nabhashaha, from the sky. Anushritam, being so contacted. Sparsham, touch. Vikurvat, being transformed. Nirmame, was created. Anilam, in the air. Translation. Thereafter, the personality of Godhead glanced over the sky, partly mixed with eternal time and external energy, and thus developed the touch sensation from which the air in the sky was produced. Purport. All material creations take place from subtle to gross. The entire universe developed in that manner. From the sky developed the touch sensation, which is a mixture of eternal time, the external energy, and the glance of the personality of Godhead. The touch sensation developed into the air in the sky. All other gross matter also developed from subtle to gross. Some developed into sky, touch developed into air, form developed into fire, taste developed into water, and smell developed into earth. Wow, so deep, huh?
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept number obeisances of glories
Hare
to
Krishna,
Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam,
Hare
all
Krishna,
glories to
Devan
Prabhupada,
Prabhu,
Bhagavan
Tanda
Prabhu.
Pran,
Thank
Jai
you for
Shri
joining.
Prabhupada, Tribhuvan.
Text 34. Anilopi vikurvano nabhasoru malanvitaha shasharja Arjarupatanmatram Jyotirlokasya lochanam. Anilaha, air, api, also. Vikurvanaha, being transformed. Nabhasa, sky. Urubhala, anvitaha, extremely powerful. Sasarja, created. Rupa, form. Tat matram, sense perception. Jyotihi, electricity. Lokasya, of the world. Lochanam, light to see. Translation. Thereafter, the extremely powerful air interacting with the sky generated the form of sense perception, and the perception of form transformed into electricity, the light to see the world. Wow. Yeah. This is the verse, is it? I have to read? Yeah, okay. Prabhu, I'm getting a call repeatedly. Can I? Yeah, hold on, wait. So just give me a minute. Huh?
Yes, Prabhu.
Why he's calling me regularly even after? Okay, translation. Okay. Let's just read this again. Thereafter, the extremely powerful air interacting with the sky generated the form of sense perception, and the perception of form transformed into electricity, the light to see the world. Wow. Okay. Anilenanvitam yotir vikurvat paravikshitam adhat adhattathambarasmayam kala mayam shayogatah. Anilena, by the air. Anvitam, interacted. Jyotihi, electricity. Vikurvat, being transformed. Paravikshitam, being glanced over by the Supreme. Please scroll down, Prabhu. Adhata, created. Ambaha, rasamayam, water with taste. Kala, eternal time. Mayam sha, external energy. Yogataha, by a mixture. Translation. When electricity was surcharged in the air and was glanced over by the Supreme, at that time, by a mixture of eternal time and external energy, there occurred the creation of water and taste. Jyotishambho nushamrishtam vikurvad brahma vikshitam mahim gandha gunam adhat kala mayam shayogatah. Jyotisha, electricity, ambah, water, anushamrishtam, thus created, vikurvat, due to transformation, Brahma, the supreme, vikshitam, so glanced over, mahim, the earth, gandha, smell, gunam, qualification, adhat, was created, kala, eternal time, maya, external energy, amsha, partially, yogataha, by intermixture. Translation: thereafter the water produced from electricity was glanced over by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and mixed with eternal time and external energy. Thus it was transformed into earth, which is qualified primarily by smell. Thereafter the water produced from electricity was glanced over by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and mixed with eternal time and external energy. Thus it was transformed into earth, which is qualified primarily by smell. Purport: from the description of the physical elements in the above verses, it is clear that in all stages the glance of the Supreme is needed with the with additions and alteration, with other additions and alterations. In every transformation, the last finishing touch is the glance of the Lord, who acts as a painter does when he mixes different colors to transform them into a particular color. When one element mixes with another, the number of his qualities increases. For example, the sky is the cause of air. The sky has only one quality, namely sound. But by the interaction of sky with the glance of the Lord, mixed with eternal time and eternal nature, the air is produced, which has two qualities, sound and touch. Similarly, after the air is created, interactions of sky and air, touched by time and the external energy of the Lord, produce electricity. And after the interaction of electricity with air and sky, mixed with time, external energy, and the Lord's glance over them, the water is produced. In the final stage of sky, there is one quality, namely sound. In the air, two qualities, sound and touch. In electricity, three qualities, namely sound, touch, and form. In water, four qualities, sound, touch, form, and taste. And in the last stage of physical development, the result is earth, which has all five qualities, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Although there are different mixtures of different materials, such mixtures do not take place automatically. Just as a mixture of colors does not take place automatically without the touch of the living painter. The automatic system is factually activated by the glancing touch of the Lord. Living consciousness is the final word in all physical changes. This fact is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita as follows. Maya dakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. Bhagavad Gita 9.10. The conclusion is that the physical elements may work very wonderfully to the layman's eyes, but their workings actually take place under the supervision of the Lord. Those who can mark only the changes of the physical elements and cannot perceive the hidden hands of the Lord behind them are certainly less intelligent persons, although they may be advertised as great material scientists. Wow. Very nice. And whatever is happening materially, see, even though it appears to be functioning perfectly, sun comes up, sun goes down, moon comes up, moon goes down. So many things are there. Everything is because the Lord has actually permitted it to do so. So without the Lord, without Krishna's glance or without Krishna's power, nothing can happen materially also. Very nice, huh?
Yes, Prabhu.
It's so deep. Actually, I'm unable to understand anything. Are you able to follow, Sami Prabhu, all this, how it's following, like electricity, this, that, all that?
Yes, Prabhu, some things, because this is second time I'm reading this, so I remember what is coming. So I'm
First time you understood anything or just were reading?
No, Prabhu, like you now reading first time.
I'm barely able to understand, but anyway, it's still transcendental.
Yes,
Just by
Prabhu.
reading, we get purified. That's the goal.
Even myself, Prabhu, not
Yeah,
able to understand, but just
so deep actually, you know. Only two things I can understand is that from Krishna only everything is happening, And second thing is that our false ego is the reason why we are here. And false ego can be conditioned in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. Goodness, the Mayavadi, passion, all these fruitive workers, and ignorance is just the intoxicated people who just completely absorbed in sinful life and who are like in bodily conscious.
Yes, Prabhu, when this false ego mixed with time and when false ego mixed with time and the glance with Lord, then the different aspects appear. And from one thing, a new thing develops. And in air, like there is first sound and there is air. And in air, it is included sound also. And when you go one more step, fire, that is form. And in form, there is included sound and what was the first thing? Always the two previous ones are included. And then comes water. And in water, there is form, taste, sound. And then comes earth. Then there is also smell. And in earth, there is everything. So like this, it goes one by one. And one more thing is added. And always there is the glance. Otherwise, nothing happens. And it's not that. And this is also really. This is exampled in a simple way. Really, there is much more going on, but this is like understandable way for us. I think we read the purpose.
Yeah, I can read maybe a few more verses, two more verses. Is that okay, Sami Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Bhutanam nabha adinam yad yad bhavyavara sorry, yad bhavyavara tesham paranusham shargat yatha sankham gunan viduhu. Bhutanam, of all the physical elements, nabha, the sky, adina, beginning from, yat, and as, bhavya, O gentle one, avara, inferior, varam, superior, tesham, all of them, para, the supreme, anusham, shargat, last touch, yatha, as many. Please scroll down, Prabhu. Sankyam, number, gunan, qualities, viduhu, you may understand. Translation, O gentle one, of all the physical elements beginning from the sky down to the earth, all the inferior and superior qualities are due only to the final touch of the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. O gentle one, of all the physical elements beginning from the sky down to the earth, all the inferior and superior qualities are due only to the final touch of the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 38. Etadevaha kala Vishnoho kala mayamshalinginah nanatvat swakriyanishaha prochuho prakshyat chalaya vibhuhum. Ete, of all these physical elements, Devaha, controlling demigods, Kalaha, parts and parcels, Vishnuho, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kala, time, Maya, external energy, Amsha, part and parcel, Linginaha, so embodied, Nanatvat, because of various Svakriya, personal duties, Anishaha, not being able to perform, Prochuhu, uttered, Pragjalayaha, fascinating, Vibhum, unto the Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Ijai. The controlling deities of all the above mentioned physical elements are empowered expansions of Lord Vishnu. They are embodied by eternal time because under the external energy and they are His parts and parcels. Because they were entrusted with different functions of universal duties and were unable to perform them, they offered fascinating prayers to the Lord as follows. Well, let's read that again. The controlling deities of all the above mentioned physical elements are empowered expansions of the Lord Vishnu. They are embodied by eternal time under the external energy, and they are his part and parcels. Because they were entrusted with different functions of universal duties and were unable to perform them, they offered fascinating prayers to the Lord as follows. Purport. The conception of various controlling demigods who inhabit the higher planetary system for the management of universal affairs is not imaginary, as proposed by persons with a poor fund of knowledge. The demigods are expanded parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and they are embodied by time, external energy, and partial consciousness of the Supreme. Wow. The demigods are expanded parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and they are embodied by time, external energy, and partial consciousness of the Supreme. Human beings, animals, birds, etc. are also parts and parcels of the Lord and have different material bodies. But they are not the controlling deities of material affairs. They are rather controlled by such demigods. Such control is not superfluous. It is as necessary as the controlling departments in the affair of a modern state. The demigods should not be despised by the controlled living beings. They are all great devotees of the Lord, entrusted to execute certain functions of universal affairs. One may be angry with Yamaraja for his thankless task of punishing sinful souls, but Yamaraja is one of the authorized devotees of the Lord, and so are all other demigods. A devotee of the Lord is never controlled by such deputed demigods who function as assistants of the Lord, but he shows them all respects on account of the responsible positions to which they have been appointed to by the Lord. At the same time, a devotee of the Lord does not foolishly mistake them to be the Supreme Lord. Only foolish persons accept the demigods as being on the same level as Vishnu. Actually, they are all appointed as servants of Vishnu. Anyone who places the Lord and the demigods on the same level is called a Pashandi or atheist. The demigods are worshipped by persons who are more or less adherents to the process of jnana, yoga, and karma. The impersonalists, meditators, and fruitive workers. The devotee, however, worships only the Supreme Lord Vishnu. This worship is not for any material benefit as desired by all materialists, even up to the point of salvationists, mystics, and fruitive workers. Devotees worship the Supreme Lord to attain unalloyed devotion to the Lord. The Lord, however, is not worshipped by others who have no program for attaining love of God, which is the essential aim of human life. Persons who are averse to loving relationship with God are more or less condemned by their own actions. The Lord is equal to every living entity, just as the flowing Ganges. The Ganges water is meant for the purification of everyone, yet the trees on the banks of the Ganges have different values. Mango tree on the bank of the Ganges drinks the water, and the neem tree also drinks the same water. But the fruits of both trees are different. One is celestially sweet, and other is hellishly bitter. The condemned bitterness of the neem is due to its own past work, just as the sweetness of the mango is also due to its own karma. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tan aham Vishtah Kruran Samshareshu Naradaman Shiprami Ajashram Ashubhahan Ashurish Eva Yonishu. The envious, the mischievous, the lowest of mankind, these do I ever put back into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Demigods like Yamaraja and other controllers are there for the unwanted conditioned souls who always engage in threatening the tranquility of the kingdom of God. Since all the demigods are confidential devotee servitors of the Lord, they are never to be condemned. Thank you so much, the devotees, for allowing me to read. Others can
Thank you
continue.
so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Haribol.
Okay, I think maybe we will go to Sikshastakam prayers because it's getting 9 p.m. What others think? Do anyone else want to read?
I can read 2 verses, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Text 39. Deva Ucho Namamate deva padarvindam prapannatapo prashamatapatram yanmulaketa yatayonjashoru samsara dukkham bhairutshipanti. Synonyms: Deva, Uchu, the demigod said, Namama, we offer our respectful obeisances. Te, your Deva, O Lord. Padaravindam, lotus feet. Prapanna, surrendered. Tapa, distress. Upashama, suppresses. Atap, Atapatram, umbrella. Yatmula Keta, shelter of the lotus feet. Yataya, great sages. Anjasa, totally. Uru, great. Samsara Dukkham, miseries of material existence. Bahi, out. Ukshipanti, forcibly thrown. Translation: The demigod said, O Lord, your lotus feet are like an umbrella for the surrendered souls, protecting them from all the miseries of material existence. All the sages under that shelter throw off all material miseries. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances onto your lotus feet. Lotus feet is like umbrella. Purport: There are many sages and saints who engage in trying to conquer. No, Prabhu, I'm not so fluent. Karthik Prabhu and all other devotees, they pronounce nicely. There are many sages and saints who engage in trying to conquer rebirth and all other material miseries, but all of them, those who take shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord, can completely throw off all such miseries without difficulty. Others who are engaged in transcendental activities in different ways cannot do so. For them, it is very difficult. They may artificially think of becoming liberated without accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. But that is not possible. One is sure to fall again to the material existence from such false liberation, even though one may have undergone severe penances and austerities. This is the opinion of the demigods, who are not only well versed in Vedic knowledge, but who are also seers of the past, present, and future. The opinions of the demigods are valuable because they are authorized to hold positions in the affairs of universal management. They are appointed by the Lord as his confidential servants. Text 40. Dhatar yadasmin bhava esha jivas tapatrayena bihata na sharma atman labhante bhagavams tavangri shayam savidyam ata ashrayema. Synonyms: Dhata, O Father, Yat, because, Asmin, in these, Bhave, material world, Isha, O Lord, Jiva, the living entities, Tapa, miseries, Trayena, by the three, Abhihatta, always embarrassed, Na, never, Sharma, in happiness, Atman, self, Labhante, do gain, Bhagavan, personality of Godhead, Tava, your, Angri Chayam, shade of your feet, Savidyam, full of knowledge, Atha, obtained, Ashrayema, shelter. Translation: O Father, O Lord, O personality of Godhead, the living entities in the material world can never have any happiness because they are overwhelmed by the three kinds of miseries. Therefore, they take shelter of the shade of your lotus feet, which are full of knowledge, and we also thus take shelter of them. Yeah, so three types of miseries: Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, Adi Adhyatmik Klesha. As suffering from them.
3-5. Is this 3-5-40 or 3-6?
Yes, 3-5-40.
Oh, we don't have it. Where it is? Ribo. Is it really not here? 3-5-40. It's not here. How we have missed it?
Purport. The way of devotional service is neither sentimental nor mundane. It is the path of reality by which the living entity can attain the transcendental happiness of being freed from the three kinds of material miseries. Miseries arising from the body and mind, from other living entities, and from natural disturbances. Everyone who is conditioned by material existence, whether he be a man or beast or demigod or bird, must suffer from adhyatmika, bodily or mental pains, adhibhautik pains, those offered by living creatures, and adhidaivik pains, those due to supernatural disturbances. His happiness is nothing but a hard struggle to get free from the miseries of conditional life. But there is only one way he can be rescued, and that is by accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The argument that unless one has proper knowledge, one cannot be freed from material miseries is undoubtedly true. But because the lotus feet of the Lord are full of transcendental knowledge, acceptance of his lotus feet completes that necessity. We have already discussed this point in the first canto 1.27. वासुदेवे भगवति भक्तियोगः प्रयोजितः जनयत्यासु वैराग्यं ज्ञानं च यदहेतुकम्. There is no want of knowledge in the devotional service of Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead. He, the Lord, personally takes charge of dissipating the darkness of ignorance from the heart of a devotee. He confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita 10.10. Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam tadhami buddhiyogam tam ye namam upayantite. Empiric philosophical speculation cannot give one relief from the threefold miseries of material existence. Simply to endeavor for knowledge without devoting oneself to the Lord is a waste of valuable time.
Haribol. Yes, this ending was really nice.
Haribol.
Oh, wrong page. Cheto-darpanam-arjanam bhavamahadavagni-nirvapanam shreyah-kairavachandrika-vitaranam vidyavadu-jivanam anandam-buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamritasvadanam sarvatma-snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तिस् तत्रार्पिता नियमिथा स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमीदृशम् इह जनिनानुरागः त्रिनादपि शुनेचेनातरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानेना मानदेना कीर्तनीयः सदा हरिः
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितं वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद्भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि.
ऐनन्दतनुजा किङ्करं पतितां मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपाय तव पादपङ्कजाश्रिताधूली सदृशं विचिन्तया
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्राविर्ष्यायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेण मे. Haribol, glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj, Nanda Krishna, for your eternal service, I give you all the fortunate devotion of birth and death. Please pick me up from the station of death and place me as one of the items of the lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with the tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain. So even if he handles me roughly in his embrace, or makes me love him, by not being present, he is completely free to do anything and everything. For he is always my worshipful love unconditionally.
Haribol, Shri Siksastakam ki jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Bahu Janma Kareya Dishavana Kirtan, Tabutana Paya Krishna Pade Premadan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many birds, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. The 10 offenses against the holy name are as follows. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the holy names of Lord Vishnu. Third offense, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master and to consider him as an ordinary human being.
Oh, you were quick, Prabhu. Fourth offense, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or incursions to the Vedic version. Fifth offense, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. Sixth offense, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. And eighth offense, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities or karma kandha.
Ninth offense, to instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10th offense, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many structures on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone just like these are trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditional souls. Vancha
kalpatarubhyashta kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namaha.
Antakoti Vaishnava ki
Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai.
Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari
Hari
Hari Hari
Hari.
Bol.
Thank you so much,
Hare
Sami
Krishna.
Prabhu, for hosting. Thank you so much, all devotees, for your kind associations. Thank you. Hare Krishna. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.